kills him. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, that was the coolest thing in the world. I recorded after the rest of the cast, so I knew all the cast, but didn't have a chance to actually record with them until later. I just wish I had a chance to do it with them all, but they kept part of the scene secret. Yeah, just being involved in it was really, really cool. It's a good question. We did have a second date with the president. No, there was one date with the president's daughter. But who knows? Hopefully, Hallie and Duncan have gone off and lived happily ever after. Yeah. As most people do when they date when they're 17.
Exactly. My date with the president's daughter. You should
Hi.
watch it sometime.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you. My favorite episode of Kim Possible or favorite episode of everything? Ooh, that's a tough one. Favorite episode of everything.
Let's go with first Kim Possible.
Okay, first Kim Possible. There wasn't, so I'm a big nerd, as I've said, happily. And I was a big nerd growing up. It hasn't always been easy to be a big nerd. So anytime the kind of nerdy guy gets the girl, I was very happy with that. So when Ron and Kim actually got together, I thought that was the greatest thing in the world. I also loved, we did one episode where Ron and Kim switched personalities. That was a ton of fun. The favorite thing I've done overall, that's a tough question because I've been very, very, very fortunate in my career, but there are certain episodes of Boy Meets World that will always stand out. Like we called it the Scream episode, but everybody else calls it Yeah. That was a great episode for a number of reasons. It was the only one we shot without an audience. So we shot it like a movie. We shot it all week long. We were just making each other laugh the whole week. And then Plays with Squirrels is up there too. That was kind of a crazy scene. So yeah, those two from Boy Meets World. And then again, the first time you get to say I am Batman and you're not lying is pretty great. So I've been so lucky in my career. It's like asking which one of your kids you like best. Yeah.
Thank you. And now you and Christy have a podcast.
We do,
right?
Yeah. Christy, who was Kim Possible, we do a podcast every week called I Hear Voices, where we get to interview all the best voiceover actors in the world. And the cool thing is, a fan gets to come in and either bring an original piece of artwork that they've done, and the voiceover actor that we're interviewing that week will put a voice to the original character they've done. Or an amateur voiceover actor gets to come in and do a scene with us and the voiceover actor, and we are recording it all, and then at the end of the season, we're going to take all those little segments and we're going to actually make a cartoon so you can see yourself in your own cartoon.
That
So it's
is
pretty cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
Where do people find the podcast?
It's on all the podcast places.
And video also.
And it's also on Christy's YouTube channel, but it's, Spotify and iTunes and
Wherever you get your podcasts.
wherever podcasts are sold. But it's free.
That's awesome. Hi.
Hi. Ooh, my favorite episode of Batman Beyond. That's a good question. I picked one that some people, it wasn't their favorite episode. I loved Egg Baby. So, Egg Baby was a great episode where, Terry's it's like the thing where you get an egg in school and you gotta raise it as a kid. It was kind of one of the wackier episodes we've done. It wasn't very dark, but it was also the first one to be nominated for an Emmy Award. And it was a ton of fun. So, Egg Baby would be my favorite Batman Beyond episode. Thank you. And then, of course, the call where he gets to join the Justice League, just because I got to say Superman, which is the coolest thing.
Do you have a favorite episode?
No?
No.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. Hi.
Okay. Well, by far the most emotional episode, the most emotional scene was the last scene where we're all saying goodbye to Mr. Feeney. We shot it once. I've only seen it when it aired. I've never seen it since. Yeah, that was a tough scene. That was all because it also really mirrored our life. I mean, like, that we were all leaving to go to New York on the show. Ryder was leaving to go to New York, to go to Columbia. I was leaving to go do a new show. Danielle was going somewhere. I mean, it was like we were really scattering to the wind. And so we knew we were close, we knew we were going to stay in touch, but it was still, it's like everything changes. You're graduating high school, you're graduating college. You want to stay with the people that you've become friends with, but you don't know which relationships are going to last, which ones aren't. So we just knew it was a massive change in our life, and it's all we'd known for 7 years. So yeah, that was by far the toughest one. Girl Meets World was different for me because I was just kind of popping in and out. I think the last scene again was emotional for everybody, but more so for them. It was Boy Meets World was the one that I was really most attached to. So here's the thing with the Feeny Call. On Girl Meets World, I went in. All right, I'm going to give you the full story. So I did a new show called Thundercats in 2011. I was a huge Thundercats fan. So I was playing Lion-O in the new version of Thundercats. Larry Kenney did the original Lion-O in the original 80s version of the show. He was playing my dad in the new version. So he went to a convention and they said, will you do the Thundercats Ho call? And he said, I'll do it one more time, but then it's Will's and it's his from now on. And I always thought that was so cool. We did an episode of Girl Meets World where the girls do the Feeny call. So I went in front of the audience, I did it one last time, and I said, I'm now giving it to the girls, so it's theirs now. You have to ask them to do it. Yeah, so there you go. You're welcome.
Thank you. Great questions. So you talked about like how monumental the end of Boy Meets World was.
Yeah.
Did you ever in a million years think you'd get the call to revisit the character for Girl?
No, we didn't. And by the way, a bunch of us found out that Girl Meets World was happening exactly the way you all found. Like CNN, I think, called Ryder and I was like, "Hey,
Do you have a comment?"
You have a comment, and I was like, "What'd I do? Comment about what?" And they're like, "No, the Girl Meets World." I didn't know anything about it. So yeah, we weren't really involved in it until it got more rolling, and then it was kind of I wanted to write, Ryder wanted to direct, so Ryder directed a bunch of episodes, I wrote an episode. And so we got to be involved with it more that way. But the coolest part of Girl Meets World for us was sitting on the set and watching the kids because it was like, I can't remember if it was Ryder or Danielle, but one of them came up beside me and nudged me and went, that's us. And it was like we got to watch ourselves. I mean, a lot of the crew was the same, the studio teachers were the same, the writers were the same as Boy Meets World. So it was like going back. And it was funny, it was on a smaller set. So it did. Have any of you grown up? You leave and then you come back and you go to the bedroom you grew up in, and you're like, has it always been this tiny? It was like that with Girl Meets World. It was like everything just seems smaller. So it was fun, but it was great.
Yeah, definitely. Hi.
Hi. Oh, two good questions. I've always been a performer at heart. So by the time I was in the first grade, I was putting on plays in school, and we even had free day. It was like, what do you want to do? I'd say, I always want to put on a play. And it was always Stone Soup. I don't know if you remember that. It was the one play I had, it's like, here we go, places. I've already got the costumes. So that was a ton of fun. And then I moved to a new town that actually had a drama department. I was now in the 5th grade, and they were having auditions for a play at the Hartford Stage in Connecticut, which is a very well-known stage. And I went and auditioned with hundreds of kids. I got the smallest part in the play, which was one line. And then 2 weeks before we went on, they switched me with the lead. Yeah, it was great. I mean, it wasn't great for him, but it was great for me. And then I begged my parents after that to let me get an agent and manager. They're kind of saying, we're from Connecticut. Nobody's in the entertainment industry. My parents are lawyers. My dad was in the Navy. Like, it wasn't, you don't go become an actor. That's not what you do. So I had to beg and beg and beg, and we looked up, he brought home Yellow Pages from New York City. Kids, Yellow Pages used to be a telephone book that you had to look through.
That's how you connected.
Yes, exactly. So we looked in the Yellow Pages, we found managers' names. My dad had a friend who had a camera. I went and sat on the back of my kitchen chair like this. And they took pictures, and 6 months later I was on Nickelodeon for my first series.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a show called Don't Just Sit There in the 80s. I was old school I got slimed, old school Nickelodeon. Yeah. That was a ton of fun, yeah. And then my first voice acting gig ever was Batman Beyond, and that was because Bruce Timm, who created Batman, the animated series of Batman Beyond, his wife was a big Boy Meets World fan. And they said, oh, you're going to have a young Batman, you should bring in... am I boring you? You're yawning so big in the front of the I'm going to call you right out for it. No, and then...
and I lucked out in, I mean, it was to be cast as Batman with Andrea Romano directing and Bruce Timm producing, and I mean, it was insane. So, as for which one I like better, they're both so different. I mean, they're so different. I love the freedom that comes with voice acting. It doesn't matter how you look, it doesn't matter where you stand, you don't have to worry about your makeup and all of that. You just get there and it's you and a microphone and you act. It's brilliant. The best actors I've ever worked with in my life, bar none, are voiceover actors. The most talented men and women you'll ever meet in your life. On camera is different. There's more of kind of a glamour to on camera, which is now changing a little bit though. You see like the lines that everybody wants to see here. Everyone wants to meet the voice actors now at cons, and that's amazing because they're the best actors in the world. So I'm so glad that people are now, they're getting their due, which is great. But they're both good for different reasons. Again, it's like picking which kid you want, which is why it's just easier to not have kids. Yeah, that's good advice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who's your dad's favorite? You were eating.
Hi.
Hi.
I think so.
Is that your kid?
Yes. Who was my favorite? Yikes. Officially the first time I've ever been asked that question at a convention.
And you're red.
Of course I'm red. First of all, you know this is funny, but... Oh, okay, Jennifer Love Hewitt. Okay, yeah. Love and I were dating at the time, so I was kissing my girlfriend in real life. So that was, yeah. It was like, it was 400 years ago, but yes. I'll be totally honest with you, I was always uncomfortable with the kissing scenes, but I always felt like the women had to have been uncomfortable. It's like your whole job was to come there and you're going to make out for the week. Like it always kind of sat weird with me. But I met some of the coolest people in the world. I mean, it was the first girlfriend ever that Eric ever had was Nikki Cox, who was just a wonderful woman, and I mean Marguerite Moreau and all these kind of people that went off to do these incredible things and have wonderful careers. And it was just weird to like, you know, hi, this is Carrie Russell. You've never kissed on camera before. You got to make out with her in front of hundreds of people all week long. It was like, okay, yeah, Phoenix nice, but everybody says it like that must be the best. It's like it's really not. I mean, the first time we kissed, our teeth bumped, and I was like, oh my god, I was mortified. I was like 16, so it was yeah, it was always strange to have to like kiss on a show because you always ask, are we real kissing? Should we not do? It was just the whole thing. It's very weird. Yeah. Good embarrassing question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Oh, do you have a question?
What was your question? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
He's just
that's
a
very sweet. Thank you.
He's a big fan of you too.
That's awesome. I love the mic doesn't work and yet you still pull it all the way down. That's you know how to work the mic, my friend. Good for you. That's awesome.
Hi.
Oh wow, that is a tough question. I don't have. It sounds a terrible thing. I don't have a favorite voiceover actor of all time. I really don't. I mean, again, you go Mel Blanc, you go to like some of the legends of the industry, but the actors that I get to work with on a daily basis are the most talented human beings ever. So there will be, you know, one day you'll walk in and Corey Burton is playing 3 people on the page and he's just playing every character and you can just sit back and watch. The next day, Tara Strong will be doing the same thing. Or Grey DeLisle, or Eric Bauza, or any of these kind of people where you just sit back and you go, there's times where I feel like I walk in, I'm like, man, I'm really good at what I do. Like, I am so awesome at this. And then somebody opens their mouth next to you and you're like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I am gonna find a new job because I stink. So you never know who you're gonna work with. And the next one is more talented than the one before. It's insane. It's nuts, it really is. Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's crazy.
Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
question. Thank you. Hi.
Thank you. Yeah, working with Kevin and Mark. So we'll start there. Anytime you get a chance to work with Kevin Conroy, it's the coolest day ever. Because that's, first of all, how he sounds. So it's like, you know,
you think I am Batman, and then he'll turn and be like, you want to get a hot dog? Like, even that's awesome. Like, yes, I didn't before, but I do now. Yes. So just that's the coolest thing in the world. And then when I'm doing Return of the Joker, I'm in between, literally sitting in between Kevin and Mark for like a week and a half, and it was just a week of me doing this. And I was just in my head, kind of just kept going like, don't screw up, you're gonna get fired. To this day, I still think I'm gonna be fired from Batman Beyond, like no joke. Because they're so talented, and I'm watching Batman and the Joker going at it and kind of shutting my eyes and watching right that, oh, it was so cool. It was just the coolest thing in the world. So that was amazing. When the first time I kind of realized I was Batman, well, one of the times that was really cool was my nephew, who's now 20 or something, was probably 5. And they lived in New York at the time, and they flew out to California. And he walked up to me and he went, Uncle Will. And he pulled me aside, he said, I'm 5. I'm old enough now to see the Batcave. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. So that was a moment where I thought it was pretty great. Plus, when you're on a date with a girl and you can say I'm Batman, it's like you are. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so that was one of the moments though. That my nephew kind of like, oh, he really thinks I have a Batcave. Like that was pretty great. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So with the character, Batman in particular, how, and so many, artists coming before you, playing the character on screen, voicing the character, how do you approach the character? Do you draw from everyone's performance? Do you separate? Do you watch? Do you not watch?
Well, that's the thing is I got to luck out because while it was Batman, it wasn't Bruce Wayne. So I can still say to this day I'm the best Terry McGinnis there's ever been. Because I haven't been another one. So that's the joy is I got to play Batman, but I didn't have to step into those shoes. Where it's like, and again, it's like I've gotten the chance to work with 3 or 4 different actors, actually more than that when I'm trying to think. So Kevin Conroy, Troy Baker, Roger Craig Smith, Rena Romano, Dietrich Bader. I've gotten to work with 6 or 7 different Batmen who were all Bruce Wayne, and they all did it differently, and they were all great. There's this year, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I haven't been with one yet where I've been like, oh, he's not a good Batman. Like, that hasn't happened. They'll do, because you go from Kevin Conroy to Dietrich Bader, and it's 2 completely different takes on the character. Dietrich's doing it funny, Kevin's doing it Kevin. So it's, I mean, again, it's how it sounds. It's crazy. But I didn't have to do that. I just got to be Terry and kind of do my own thing. And so if anybody else voices Terry eventually, they get to fill my shoes.
Exactly.
Which will be awesome. Which won't be hard because they're like 8.5s. They're bigger than that. I'm kidding.
Of course they are. Hi.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I can't. Did you just come in? Oh, okay. I told. No. Oh, yeah. No, I already did it. You missed it. Sorry. No, I told the story where I don't do it anymore. I gave it to the girls on Girl Meets World. It's theirs now officially. So they have to do the Feeney call for you because I did it one more time for the audience and then passed the torch to them. So I don't do it anymore. Thank you, though.
Yes, it's good. It's lineage,
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
They needed something of their own,
It was good. They had to. You gotta do that. I don't know if I would have done it had I not watched Larry Kenny do that thing. But
no, but that was super cool.
It was so cool of him. I was like, I want to do that.
I'm stealing that.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hello. We had so much fun. Yes. How did Eric go from being the cool, eccentric older brother to the guy sneezing the lottery numbers? Yes. There are 2 theories to this, which I like both. So one of them is very interesting. It's that when the show is through Corey Matthews' eyes. And when Corey's young, he saw his older brother as the cool guy who was always dating the girls and he wanted to emulate him. As he grew older, he saw him as more of a buffoon. So that's kind of one of the theories. The other theory is there's an episode of Boy Meets World where Eric is trapped in a car during a snowstorm, and he's repeatedly banging his head against the window, and he actually does damage. That's the second theory. In reality, I think what it was Boy Meets World kind of became two shows. There was Corey, Sean, Topanga, Angela. They kind of had their one side, and then Eric, Jack, and Rachel kind of had their own side. And at one point, the Corey, Sean, and Topanga side was getting very dark. Like they were going a lot more serious with the storylines, and they needed to lighten it up a little bit. So it was kind of like, then let's cut to Eric for the comedy relief. And they saw that I could just do the kind of big, crazy, jokey stuff. And then we would start to bet at how big it could get. And Mike, the producer, would come up to me and say, like, "We're changing this line. You can't get a laugh on this." And I'll be like, "I bet you I can." And I'd be like, "I bet you $1 you can't. All right, here we go." And so it kind of became that thing. It just got bigger and bigger and bigger and crazy. Yeah, it got big. It got to the point at some of the things where it was just like even we were like, the audience isn't gonna buy this, and it just worked. It was like, all right, we're gonna let Eric be Eric, and I mean he gets hit by lightning in the middle of a room. It's like, okay, let's do that. But yeah, he did. I prefer that he actually injured himself in the avalanche, and yeah. And now I think I could be wrong, but I believe that's the episode where the girl he's in, and I know somebody's going to jump on me for this because it might not be her, but it's either that episode or it's definitely another episode if it's not. But that's the girl who was Duncan went on a date with in My Date with the President's Daughter. Same actress who played Elizabeth Arbois. So either she's in that episode or she's in another episode. But we actually were on a date before we ever dated the President's Daughter, which was kind of cool. So. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't know she was on the show.
Yeah.
She then went on to have her own show, which now I forget the title
Well,
of.
no, she was on.
Point Pleasant.
Was she on Point Pleasant? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But she was also on CSI One of the Dubuque or something. They're all so many versions of that show. She was
I know.
CSI something. Yeah, CSI something.
CSI something.
Yeah.
That's
CSI
what I
something.
watched.
Yeah, that's what I want. I
Yeah.
watched CSI somewhere. Exactly.
Hi.
Hey. Yeah. I think the story cuts there, but it's funny because Lauren Tom, who does the voice of Dana, she and I have talked, and we decided that they end up together and they end up happy. Yes, well, I mean, they'd eventually be living in Wayne Manor, I'm sure, but as Bruce Timm says all the time, Bruce Wayne will never die, so they're probably still living there with Bruce Wayne. So there you go.
I love it. Thank you. What are you watching now, Will? What are you into that's either, animation, non-anime?
And I watch everything animated, so every DC animated show, every new series, I'm a huge animation fan. But I love Des Moines so much that I missed the opening of the Downton Abbey movie last night. My wife and I are huge Downton Abbey fans. I was like, I'm not watching Downton Abbey, and by 4 seasons I was like, look at the costumes, are amazing. So we'll do date night and Downton Abbey when I get home. But no, I mean, I love all this. I'm such a nerd. I love all the same stuff. I watched the Wheel of Time series. I'm not gonna get into that. I obviously Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Some of those seasons were okay.
And the spinoff is coming. The spinoff of Game.
And the spinoff is happening.
Yes, it's happening.
So that I try to keep up on that stuff, but I'm more of an old school. But I fall asleep every night watching MASH. I still do. So MASH is the greatest television show of all time and always will be. Stuff like that is I'm a big fan.
I love that. Hi.
I think it's amazing. I think the one thing, Terry, that Batman Beyond was missing was an overweight 45-year-old Batman. If I had to look at it where it's like, the Jokers are getting away and I'm trying to pull on the suit, like, give me a minute. That's what I think is missing. No, the thing that it's wonderful and it's very nice. Terry's 17 and needs to be 17. That's the point, is that it's a new generation, younger Batman. So I would go and, I've said this before, I would go and cast somebody completely unknown to step into the cowl, and then I would obviously, like everybody else, put either Michael Keaton or Clint Eastwood. I think would be very interesting as an old Bruce Wayne. Right? Don't you think Clint Eastwood, who's in his 90s, would be like really cool kind of old
That needs to happen.
Yeah, but hopefully they'd let me do like a cameo where I'd be like, hi. But no, everyone's like, you should play Terry. It's like, how? Like, come on, how? So no, I appreciate that, but that's very sweet.
Yes.
The car couldn't get off the ground. Not with the way we were doing. Hello, how are ya? I still love your shirt. It's the best. Great. Hey, congratulations! That's awesome. Good for you. Good. That's great. Sure. Yes. Are You Afraid of the Dark? Back in the day.
Classic. I did watch Are You Afraid of the Dark? A few of them before I went on to just to see what I was doing. I never really had a favorite episode. To be honest, this is going to sound so lame, but I love the story of the one that we did because a lot of my family's from Plymouth, Massachusetts. So the revolution, that whole kind of thing was really important. So yeah, it was a ton of fun. But congratulations on graduating. When you become a big director, I can play a great 45-year-old Terry McGinnis. That's all I'm saying. So don't forget the little people, please. Thank you very much. Yes, congratulations. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Hi.
Oh, do I still talk to the actor who played Tommy on Boy Meets World? J.B. Gaynor is his name, and I had not seen him since Boy Meets World, and then saw him when they brought him back on Girl Meets World. And then we kept in touch a little bit over Twitter, but then I woke up one day and said, I can't do social media anymore. So we haven't talked in a little while, but he could not be a nicer kid, and is an amazing golfer, is gonna be a professional golfer kind of guy. So, but seeing him again after 20 some odd years was pretty incredible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you alluded to the fact that you deleted all your social media accounts.
I did.
Tell me about that experience and how that has affected you.
Well, I mean, do you know what they're saying about me on the internet? Because I don't. It's awesome. No, I woke up one day and a few things happened in a row. I had a friend who was doing video games, and she was getting threatened by some people because she was on a video game, and then there was unstable fan. I mean, it was just not a safe place for a lot of people. And I woke up one morning and I went, why am I doing this? And I deleted it all. And it has been the greatest experience. We're getting addicted to our phones, like actually addicted to our phones. It's really dangerous. And so my wife and I do things where, it's like we leave our phones in our bedroom and we go and we have our night and we watch TV or make dinner or do whatever, and we forget we have it. So deleting all my social media is one of the greatest things. I also deal with anxiety, which I've talked about very openly. And if you deal with anxiety, one of the greatest things you can do is getting rid of your social media. No, it's so funny because I'll talk to people who deal with anxiety and I'll say, there's 3 things I've done that have helped me more than anything. Talking about it, and they're like, I can do that, no problem. Diet and exercise, okay, yeah, I can do that, no problem. I delete all my social media. Well, I don't know if I can do that. And then nobody does the third one. But those 3 things together have changed my life. So yeah, social media becomes this kind of just addiction. And I mean, you're literally trying to get followers. Like even that just is very strange to me. So yeah, getting rid of it was pretty awesome.
That's amazing. Well, you're an inspiration in that respect.
Thank you.
Hi.
I didn't know Maddie all that well. It's one of those things you kind of, you run into people at, like Tiger Beat kind of thing. You know, it was like Teen Beat or Tiger Beat or Bop, like one of these things when you're 16 or 17 would do, like come to a picnic. One time they took us paintballing because what you want to do is take a bunch of child actors and arm them. So it was very, very strange, but you would run into them, but I didn't really know him well. And then he came on the show and he and I bonded right away. I mean, then we ended up doing, H double